Hey everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada, and you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. Tuesday today, and I'm here with a sketch challenge. So this is my first sketch challenge since being back from vacation. I love to do these sketch challenges. It's always fun to kind of think about what the card might look like and what you could do with it. Above and beyond the sketch, because sometimes the sketches are just guidelines of what you can actually do with it. So that's what I'm kind of playing with today. Looks pretty simple, but we'll see what we can do with it to make it a little more stepped up. All right, I'm just going to make sure that I can see comments in Facebook. It's just going to refresh things. Still, okay, there we go. All right, looks like I am live. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to use the Brushed with Beauty suite again. Actually, I'm using, not the, I'm using the dies, and I'm just using the Words of Beauty. I'm actually not going to use the flower dies and stamps this time around. Going to keep it pretty simple, but also using the Everyday Arches dies, which I absolutely love. I used them the other day. So if you watched me on Sunday, you saw these same products. All right, let me switch over and we'll get started. So first of all, this is a sketch, and like I say, it's pretty simple, looks pretty simple, but I think there's some ways that you can step it up a little bit. If you get my newsletter, you had a sneak peek of this sketch this morning when I sent my newsletter out, and if you didn't, this will go live in social media in about a half hour's time. All right, so the card base is 4 1/4 by 11 or 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and then this layer 1, which is the white layer, is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I've said 2 pieces that are about 2 1/2 by 4, and then a piece for the sentiment. Now I'm going to use some extras, and you can absolutely do that. So you can fancy this up however you want to do it, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with the card. So like I said, a pretty simple sketch. So this is the Words of Beauty bundle. And so this is a stamp set with some great sentiments. I love this just because, and then you can combine it with all sorts of other sayings. And then the dies for this, it's a new packaging I'm still getting used to. What did I do with the dies? Oh, there they are. Oh gosh, I had a momentary lapse of what did I do with dies, because I cut some things out. There they are. All right, for these dies, these are the Words of Beauty dies, and so you have 3 sets of the Just Because, and so they go up in size, and you have 3 label dies, and so you can layer these, which is what I'm going to do. I've cut them out of Mossy Meadow, and then the middle one is Crumb Cake, and then the smallest, the thinnest one is done out of Very Vanilla. And so you have the 3 sets of words, and then a couple of labels, or 3 label dies. And I'm just going to put these in here so I don't lose them. And then I'm going to, on top of that, I've cut out the long kind of 1/2 inch label. This is out of Very Vanilla, and I'm going to say Just Because It's Your Birthday. Always need birthday cards. Okay, so that's just the Words of Beauty. The other dies that come with this are flowers that you can stamp and cut out, but we're not going to use those today. All right. So I've got all my pieces cut. So I've got a piece of Crumb Cake that is 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to score it. Yep. Score it at 5 1/2. So you could use 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and make it a booklet fold. I always seem to be drawn to tent fold cards. I don't know why that is, but something that I like about a tent fold cards. All right, so we're gonna just burnish that score line using my bone folder. So then I cut a piece out. Isn't this absolutely stunning? Designer series paper. I'm going to use this side. So this is the Mossy Meadow side, but I'm also using this side on the front. So this is going to be my first layer that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I cut 2 pieces. So these are the pieces in my sketch that I said that are 2.5 by 4. And that's what these roughly are. So this is about 2.5 by 4 inches. And these are cut out of the 5th largest of the everyday arches dies, and that's what we're going to just kind of lay out like that. Like I said, I think that you could just cut some rectangles that are 2.5 by 4, but I just liked the look of. I love these everyday arches dies. So we're going to adhere this on. So it just gives it a little bit of a little step up from just cutting out a rectangle. Right. Now, I'm not going to put these on quite yet because I'm probably going to pop them up a little bit. Something like that. I just love this one paper. Okay, so then, like I said, I cut out already the words just because, using these gorgeous dies. So we're going to layer them together. Now, if I had been thinking about it, I would have used adhesive sheets. It just would have made it so much easier to glue this. But I'm just going to try and add I'm just dotting because this is a brand new liquid glue, so I don't want to press it and get a big splodge of glue like that. And then it's even more important that I don't get big splodge when I go to put these. This is the thinnest of the words. This one would have been even better if I had used the adhesive sheets. Isn't that pretty? You can get such depth in the words. So, oopsie, it's sticky. Okay, take my fingers off. Can you see how dirty my fingers are? I was doing some re-inking of my ink pads today. What a mess I had going on. So I tried to get the glue off. Didn't actually all come off, but it's a job that has to be done, and I don't do it as often. I'm the first to admit I don't do it as often as I should, but at some point in time you just have to kind of pull out your re-inkers and go to work. Now there is a tiny little dot for the top of the J. Don't lose that when you cut the thinnest of your the word just out. Can you see it there? So I stuck that on so that I didn't lose it. Okay, so now I cut out one of these long label dies. Sticky fingers. And so I'm going to stamp this in Mossy Meadow. Oh, and I don't think that's very straight, but it's going to have to be. Oh, it's not too bad. It's a little crooked. Okay. So let's bring my card back. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. Just because it's your birthday, something like that. That's my plan. Okay. So I was thinking I was going to pop these up, but I think I'm going to pop up the words. So we will adhere these down. So let's just put that one like that. I'm going to mission to use as much designer series paper as I can. Because if you're like me, I'm sure you are, you have a lot of designer series paper in your stash, and I definitely do. So my goal is to try and use as much as I possibly can. No point in saving it, hoarding it. Might as well use it up. All right, so we're gonna pop these words up. So I'm using a combination of regular size dimensionals and smaller, the mini dimensionals. So this suite, it's a suite called Brush with Beauty, is one of the new online exclusives that came out as of November 1st. Let's put that one just because. And so you can order it in my online store. The new January to April mini catalog has also come out, and so if you would like a catalog, if you've placed an order with me in the last year, you will get a catalog. I will send it to you. If you haven't put an order in with me and you live in Canada and you don't have a regular demonstrator, all my caveats, feel free to, there is a link on my on my blog page, also on my Instagram, in my profile on Instagram, and you can request a catalog from me and I would be happy to send you one. There we go, just because it's your birthday. All right, so for the inside of the card, I cut a piece of very vanilla that's 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then this piece of designer series paper is 3/4 of an inch by 4. And then this can go on the inside of the card, and then I have some really pretty embellishments that go with this suite to go on the inside. There we go. All right, if you're watching, make sure you leave a comment. I'd love to know where you're watching from, what you're up to today, if you've been in your craft room. So these are called Pearls of Beauty, are part of the suite. I'm going to use the crumb cake ones. Come in 2 sizes. And so let's put one there, one there. All right, so I stayed pretty true to the sketch, although if you just wanted a really easy card that you could make multiples of, this would make a great card for your holiday cards, or card sketch or layout for your holiday cards. Use up some of that designer series paper, really simple with just a sentiment, and you could fancy it up with some ribbon or some embellishments. But this one's, I'm using the dies from the Words of Beauty. So there we go. I love this suite, just so pretty. And Mossy Meadow is one of my favorite colors. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now I'll be back live again, 3 o'clock Pacific. I'm switching it up a little bit with times. So 3 o'clock Pacific, come join me for a technique tomorrow. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me today. Hope you